Welcome to this explainer. Today we are diving into how the biggest organizations out there take scattered, totally chaotic information and turn it into serious strategic power. We're talking about utilizing centralized hubs built purely for analysis, data warehouses. Think about it. A massive global company generates millions of data points every single day. But how do they actually use all that data to make smart decisions without pulling their hair out? Well, the answer lies right here.
To really get this, we have to contrast two very different worlds. We've got the frantic, in-the-moment nature of frontline transactions, like a super busy cash register, versus the calm, analytical, historical perspective that a CEO needs in the boardroom. A cash register? It literally only cares about the customer standing right in front of it right this second. But the boardroom? They need to know what all the customers have been doing over the last 5 years.
So, here's our quick roadmap for today. We'll cover seeing the big picture, organized and integrated data, the vault of history, built for complex questions, operations versus analysis, and finally, real-world business value. Let's just jump right in.
Starting off with Section 1, seeing the big picture and combining data for strategy.
We need to establish right away that a data warehouse absolutely does not process your day-to-day transactions. That's not its job. Instead, its primary objective is to combine data from multiple sources into one consistent view, store the history, optimize for reporting, and just improve overall reliability by using clean information. Look, if you're a manager, you aren't looking at individual receipts, right? You're looking at dashboards. You want to see trends, summaries, forecasts, the big stuff to make strategic decisions. The warehouse is designed exclusively for you, the analyst or decision maker, giving you this complete, ultra-reliable view of the organization without the massive headache of looking at raw operational systems.
Moving along to Section 2, organized and integrated data, or as I like to call it, creating a single version of the truth.
We start by making the data subject-oriented. This is huge because it helps managers focus directly on key business questions rather than getting totally lost in application-specific silos. In a normal IT setup, data is grouped by the software application that originally created it. But in a data warehouse, we completely flip that script. We organize everything by subjects that actually matter to the business, things like sales, customers, or products. It makes analysis so incredibly intuitive. If you want to know about your customers, boom, you just go directly to the customer subject area.
Next up, integration. Merging sales, customer, and website data removes all those conflicting codes and creates a single, reliable version of the truth. You might have customer data sitting in an online sales system, maybe a brick-and-mortar store system, and your marketing platform. Integration takes all those fragmented, messy pieces, cleans them up, and combines them so you aren't getting 3 different conflicting answers when you ask one simple question.
Imagine the sheer chaos of differing date formats across systems. Integrations transform them into one standard format before loading into the warehouse, preventing massive analytical headaches. It sounds like a super small detail, right? But if System A uses day, month, year, and System B uses month, day, year, trying to run a combined report is literally going to be a disaster. The data warehouse solves this whole shebang by forcing everything into one clean, standardized structure.
All right, Section 3, the vault of history. We're talking time variant, non-volatile, and append-only.
The first key concept here is time variant. This specific feature allows a retailer to easily retain old data and compare, say, monthly sales this year directly against monthly sales last year. Operational databases mostly just care about the now, but a data warehouse? It's kind of like a time machine. It keeps historical snapshots so you can definitively answer questions like, hey, exactly how has our performance changed over the last 36 months?
The second term you really need to know is non-volatile. By keeping stored data stable, reports become highly repeatable, and users are far less likely to accidentally change past historical data. Once the data goes into the warehouse, it effectively locks in place. You aren't constantly editing or deleting it like you might fix a typo in a live customer database. It is stable. This means if you run a report today and then run the exact same report next week, you are going to get the exact same answer. No surprises.
And the final piece of this historical vault is the concept of being append-only. So unlike operational systems that overwrite current values, appending new data keeps a continuous historical trail that's incredibly useful for auditing, trend analysis, and forecasting. If a customer moves and changes their address, we don't just erase the old one. We simply add or append a new record showing the new address from this specific date forward. It creates a perfect historical paper trail.
Okay, jumping into Section 4, built for complex questions and optimizing query performance.
Optimizing for query performance ensures quicker decisions and a much better experience for analysts who are just trying to spot declining customer retention across months or maybe identify the most profitable product line. Because the data warehouse isn't bogged down trying to process thousands of live incoming sales transactions every single second, its entire architecture is totally free to be optimized for one thing: reading massive amounts of data as fast as humanly possible.
This optimized structure helps users ask really heavy, complex questions, like calculating total sales by region and quarter over a 5-year span, and get the answers back almost instantly. Imagine asking your live cash register system to calculate a 5-year trend report while a dozen customers are waiting in line. The system would completely crash. The data warehouse handles all these heavy lifting tasks, powering your dashboards and year-on-year comparisons without breaking a sweat.
Section 5 brings us to operations versus analysis, the boardroom versus the cash register.
Notice the stark contrast here. Operational databases are the fast-paced cash register handling frequent inserts of mostly current data, while the data warehouse is the analytical boardroom, totally focused on fast queries of stable, historical data. The operational database is designed to run the daily business. It only cares about current data, and it's constantly changing. The data warehouse perfectly complements this. It doesn't replace it. It's designed specifically to support business intelligence reporting by holding historical data that is loaded, queried, but rarely ever changed.
Finally, Section 6, real-world business value, how we actually turn all this data into strategy.
In the real world, retail uses this exact architecture for finding seasonal bestsellers. Healthcare combines patient and resource data to analyze service demand, and education merges attendance and assessment data to support planning. Take a hospital, for instance. They aren't just looking at today's schedule. They use the warehouse to merge years of patient data and resource allocation to predict exactly when they'll need more staff next winter. Now that is real, tangible value. The main value of a data warehouse ultimately boils down to turning vast amounts of stored data into incredibly useful insight for high-level planning and strategy. When your data is integrated, meaning it's clean, it's unified, and it's historical, well, you're no longer guessing. You can actually see the patterns, you can monitor your key performance indicators, and every strategic move you make is backed up by solid, undeniable evidence. As we wrap up this explainer, I want you to ponder the sheer power of having all your organizational data perfectly aligned to instantly answer a complex, multi-year question exactly like this one. Which product category has shown the strongest growth over the last 12 quarters and in which region? Without a data warehouse, finding that answer is an absolute nightmare of spreadsheets and conflicting reports. But with a data warehouse, it's literally just a few clicks away. That is the true strategic power of business intelligence. Thanks so much for joining me on this deep dive.